took the just like Michelangelo into the blue on heavenly wings. Cargo ham bones don't take off, no smoke, no mirror, no strings. I can't take off these dark shades. I can only say how it's too beautiful. Our town on TV. Our town, there's you and me, upside down, hanging out of an airplane.
Welcome to Our Town, and I'm your host, Larry Frost. In today's show, we'll have a sit-down interview with Richard Gale, and we'll also get some scenes from the Riverwalk. So let's get started. Welcome. I'm here today with Richard Gale. It's a beautiful day in Amesbury, and we're here to discuss what Richard has done for the last few years to our town.
Thank you, Larry.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Larry. I appreciate you coming. It's very important to me that what you're doing for the town, because people get to see what's going on in town.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot going on in town, and it's wonderful, and it's nice that you're doing what you're doing.
We have a great town.
Yeah, we do. Most people know that, but we want everybody to know that.
Oh, it's people like you that are making it better also.
We like to do what we can volunteer-wise to help, and that's why we're here on this world, to do that kind of thing. So let's do what we can.
We share that.
Okay, we go. This topic today is on the tree planting in Amesbury that we've done for the last almost 10 years, 9 years basically. And you may wonder how we got started, and you always get started with help from other people. Nothing I have ever done or my group has ever done. I'm with the tree board and the Amesbury Improvement Association, and there's always been help and support whenever I needed it from anybody. What I'm telling you today is a chronology of what we've tried to accomplish in the last 10 years and possibly where we may be going from here. We started in 2001, and that project was at the middle school. They had just gotten into the middle school from a renovation, and the courtyard looked a little bare to me, and being a landscape architect, I thought I could help them. And so
I never would have guessed with all the plants. It's beautiful.
But anyway, I thought I could help him. So I went to Ray Teasy, who was the principal at that time, and told him in the fall that maybe I could help you upgrade this courtyard. And he said, well, draw us a plan, which I did. And I drew the plan. It was in the fall, and nothing happened. And I gave it to him in the fall, maybe in November. Nothing happened, and I thought, January, I thought, well, I wonder what's going on down there. And lo and behold, they gave me a call, and they said the children had raised the money for the planting, and it was $2,100, $2,100. And I thought it was amazing. And what we did at the courtyard with Ray's help and the staff at the middle school, the janitors and all that, we planted 50 different plants, 50 different species of plants, so they have an arboretum of sorts. And we mingled them in there so they looked like it was a natural planting. And this is, and if you go there today, there's a plaque on the wall showing 50 plants numbered and the locations in the site where you can actually see. And there's still, most of them are still there. That was in 2001, so it's 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And that was the start of, what I thought might help. And then in 2002, the Riverwalk had just been completed. Yep. And Nick Cracknell, who had done a lot of work on it, and the town had done a lot of work on it, spent a lot of money on it, we thought it would be a good time to plant it with evergreen trees, because there's no evergreens in the woods at that time in that area. And we thought, well, New England has to have pines and spruce in its environment. So Nick helped me, and we got a grant. We got a grant from the AIA, and the cost was $1,500. And the AIA furnished the money, and we bought 3,000 pines and spruce and some other deciduous trees. Now that project, the Boy Scouts helped plant. The town came out in full force. There was over 100 people came out. We came out on Arbor Day, and we planted the 3,000 trees in one morning.
Wow.
Now, that project is probably the one that we failed the most on because they're bare root planting. The seedlings were only 8 to 10 inches tall, and they did okay until the dry August, September came along, and we lost most of them. So, in any project, you don't always win, and we didn't win there. We do have some pines growing, and we could always say, well, heck, those pines will grow up and reseed other pines, so maybe you did win.
Yeah.
But right now, we feel like that we didn't do the best job we could do.
Yeah.
And then, so that was 2002. And then 2003, we got a grant from the state to plant trees on 110. And that goes from basically 150 down to the overhead by 495.
Okay.
And we planted 135 trees there. Now the Boy Scouts helped, the AIA helped, and so we got that in, and that was in 2003. And we'll show you some of those trees later on and show you what. See that 6 years ago,
well, yeah.
what those trees look like today. So you can see that what we're doing is really worthwhile.
Oh yeah.
And then in 2004, we did Market Street and Southampton Road, and there we put in about 115 trees.
Okay.
And we have trees there. In our plantings, I've never really figured out how many we save and how many we lose. But somebody asked me the other day, and I said, we probably lose 10% the first year, and probably another 20% in the next 3 or 4 years. So we're saving probably 70% of our trees, and we buy the trees from
Are they local?
We buy the trees from a nursery in Minnesota.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They're bare root. They're anywhere from 4 to 6 feet, 7 feet tall. When they come in, I can carry all 130 trees in the back of my pickup truck, and I bring them here and I put them in barrels of water for the period before we plant them on Arbor Day. So I may have them here for 2.5 to 3 weeks sitting in water, which we find works. We were nervous at first, thinking, well, maybe sitting in water that long would be too long, but it's in April, so
kind
it's
of
still
rot the
cold.
roots, maybe that's what you were worried about.
Yeah. You just can't let the tree roots dry out.
Right. Yeah.
And we try to impress that on even the Arbor Day. We keep them covered. If you leave the tree out 2 hours in full sun, bare root, it could almost die on you. At least get weaker than you should be. So we do that, and I do it here, and it's wonderful to see the trees here. Annie gets so excited, and I get so excited. But anyway, that was on 2004. We did the Market Street. On 2005, we skipped a year for some reason or other, and I can't remember why. I guess you never know why you did things. But anyway.
I don't. When I look back, it's like I don't know.
I don't know. And Annie said, "Well." My wife Annie tells us, why? When I read this list, she said, well, "I don't remember you skipping a year, but we did skip a year." And
maybe you traveled that year or something.
No, I don't think so. I think it just
went by.
It went by, and sometimes you don't have the courage to crank it up.
Yeah.
And we didn't. But then on 2000, that was 2005. We skipped. 2006 was a big year. Some lady called, I say some lady, it was Stephanie, who was the curator at the Whittier home, called.
Okay.
and she had a daughter who was in the wheelchair. And she wanted to give a tree in memory of her daughter. And so I asked her, well, I was glad to, I was very glad to hear she wanted to do this. And I asked her, well, where should we put the tree? And she said, well, Kathy was the girl's name. Kathy had her best years of her life at the middle school. And so it'd be nice if we could get on the school grounds. Mm-hmm. And so I said, well, I'll look into it. And so Jerry Modonton, he's just my neighbor down here, was the superintendent of grounds, and Mike Curry was the principal. And the principal was very welcome to the idea. He said, you pick a spot and let me know where you want to put it. And Jerry and I looked around and found a spot, but in the process we looked at what I call campus, because you got the Landry Field, you got ball fields, and you got a big building, you got a huge parking lot. There was only 1 or 2 good trees on the whole site. And so the thought was, why don't we make this campus beautiful down the road? So we wound up, Jerry and I walked this property and I flagged it, and we wound up planting 286 trees on the middle school property.
All different varieties.
Different varieties. Yeah. Evergreen trees in the background. Jerry and I looked at it so that we wouldn't block his mowing crew too much. You still have to mow around things. We try to keep the evergreens on the perimeter so that even behind Landry Stadium, 10 years, 20 years from now, there'll be evergreens coming up in the woods. Great. You don't see them now. Yeah. Right now they're probably 6 feet tall, but the walls are 12 feet tall. So it's going to be down the road. It's a vision. It's not.
That's down towards the Powell River side.
Yeah. We got evergreens coming up behind that. We had evergreens in the back of the fences in the ballpark area. And so there was 286 trees, and people say, well, where are all of them? Well, there's some of them back in the background. But anyway, we got to do that project, and that was a very exciting project. In that same year, we did Union Cemetery.
Okay.
And the DPW head at the time wasn't Rob Damaris, I forget who he was, but he was excited about it, and he actually laid out where he wanted the trees in Union Cemetery.
The Union's on Elm Street?
The Union is this one up on
110?
110.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think we put in about 50 trees up in there, and we got some evergreen trees, not only deciduous but evergreen. We buy as I said before, the deciduous trees come from the nursery in Minnesota. Actually, they're probably grown in Oregon or Washington. The evergreen trees, the AIA has given me money, and we probably buy them from Western Maine Nursery, and we pot them, and then we let them grow in the pots for 3 or 4 years, and then we plant them out. So any evergreen trees in this program, most evergreen trees in this program have been potted and grown by the AIA on Karen Sears' property, she's on the tree board, and we still have about 90 pines of spruce over there that we're growing right now. So they'll be scattered through town.
She's from Amesbury?
She's from Amesbury, and she's on the tree board with me, so is Ryan Gilbaugh, and they've helped. They help me get crews, and they're supportive and great people. They're both working people in 30s and 40s. We tickled one day. We were at a meeting, and Ryan said, he told me his age. He is having a birthday. He told me his age, and then Karen told her age. And I said, well, if I add both of your ages together, I'm still over.
I was going to say,
I'm still
you should tell the viewers afterwards how old you are, right?
But anyway, that was the case. But they're great, and we've had a good relationship with them. So that year at the middle school, we did Kathy's tree. We did all the trees at on the campus, and then we did the Union Cemetery, which is a great project to get trees in the cemetery. Yeah, and we'll show you some of those later, I think, on the thing. In 2007, we thought we would continue the school programs. When we got to do the middle school, we got the okay from Mayor Keyser and Charles Surratt, who was the superintendent of schools. They both okayed it and were enthusiastic about the project. They really were. And so we had backing. And so after that, we went to the elementary school in 2007. And Mike is the principal there. I don't know his last name. Sorry about that, Mike, but I don't know your last name. And we drew a plan for there. We did, I think there were 100 trees go on the elementary school on Southampton Road. We also did Mount Prospect Cemetery that year.
That's the one on Elm Street.
That's the one on Elm Street.
I got one right.
You got one right. We also did, when we did the elementary school, and I'm confused which year this was, Bill Rayner, he's one of the guys that really has helped me, we did this intersection up here on 110 and Main Street.
Okay.
We put 22 trees on that corner.
Wow.
And if you, at Cumberland Farm, we asked Cumberland Farms, Provident Bank, there's a lawyer's office there, McKay, and then the pizza place.
Yeah, in the car dealership.
Yeah. And they were all enthusiastic about it. And we've basically got 22 trees clustered around that intersection, so that down the road you're going to see a nice grove.
How tall will they grow?
These are all street trees, and then maybe I should have mentioned that. Most of these trees are street trees. In other words, they'll grow anywhere from 30 to 70 feet.
Okay.
Now, some of them where we are under wires, we do the flowering trees like crab apples and amelanchier and hawthorn, which probably 25 feet is the tallest, and we have to sneak those in where the power lines get in our way. So we do that. But we're very excited about this corner up here, and actually we're trying to do the corner down at Elm Street and 110 next spring. We're working with the new gas station owner down there. We're working with Burger King, working with Friendly's, and the state owns the other corner.
Yep.
And now we're kind of waiting on what happens with the rebuilding of this section from 495 to 95. But we pretty well know where we can plant and where we can't plant. But we're trying to get that to do.
Talking about forgetting things, we did a show with Mike Costello in that area. I can't remember what they called it. Right where the intersection is, it's like a diamond something.
Well, it's the Golden Triangle, because
Golden Triangle, that's
it connects with.
We were joking about that earlier. Remember saying, "How do you remember something sometime?"
But anyway, we're working on that. We have contacts with all those companies, and we're kind of waiting on what the final plan is, and hopefully next spring we're going to do that. In 2008, we did the Cashman School. Peter Hoyt was the principal there, and he was very enthusiastic about it. We did put in 100 trees at the Cashman School. Most of them are on the perimeter, so that if they extend the buildings or whatnot, the trees will still be there. Okay. What that does for us is that it screens out. What we're trying to do is screen out other buildings that we just don't want to see in the environment.
Naturally.
It makes it an environment. We did do some evergreens there, and those we probably bought from another local nursery. But anyway, that was a Cashman School. We did add some more trees on Lions Mouth Road in that time, and I see we did some on Highland Street. And now 2009, this year, we planted 160 trees, most of them in Town Park, the training field. We did some on Macy Street and Friend Street and Whitehall Road. Now, right now we're in a position where when we plant, we're in areas where what we planted before have been areas where we could put a lot of trees in one spot. What makes it easy for the Boy Scouts, which they've helped us all these 9 years. Every year they've helped. And now we're in a position where we may want to scatter trees throughout the community. So we're in the process of trying to figure out how to do that. Now I'm sure the Boy Scouts will help, but it's going to be a little bit different scenario, because it's not going to be 10 or 12 or 14 Boy Scouts going down the street with a bunch of trees and planting.
Yeah.
So we're in the process of trying to figure that out. So, like I said, the people that are, Karen and Ryan have been big help. Tree Board. The AIA has basically sponsored most of the money. When we did the middle school and the elementary school and the Cashman School, the Newburyport 5-cent Savings Bank gave us money. Yeah. They really came through on the middle school. I mean, they were very generous. So we appreciate that. And then we do get some private money from people sending in. Mm-hmm. You know, they buy it if we. What we do, maybe you don't understand it. When we pick a site, we have a flyer made, and the flyer says that we would like to plant a tree on your property, and we will put a flag where we'd like to put the tree. If you don't want the tree, you can pull the flag out, and so on Arbor Day we won't plant a tree. And so we go through 1st of April. Arbor Day is the last weekend of April. We go through the area and we flag where we'd like a tree and leave a flyer in the door. We don't have time to educate people. Mm-hmm. They either want a tree or they don't want a tree. And sometimes that can be very rewarding and sometimes can be very discouraging, which is the way things go. But this is the way because we're a small group and it works that way. It's worked that way for 9 years now. Yeah. And so or whatever time it is. So we do that, and so they either pull the flag or leave the flag, and then Arbor Day comes along. We actually, it's on Friday, but we plan on Saturday when the Boy Scouts can be there. And if there's a flag there, we put a tree in. And most of the trees, if there's no power lines, are street trees, and we try to pick trees that are native to Massachusetts. We don't vary much from that. We go by the tree board list that Ryan and Karen and I have figured out. And we try to keep it like it should be and like it was. I didn't mention one year we did try to re-elm Elm Street.
I was going to ask if you did elms or maple or anything.
Yeah, we did 20 elms on Elm Street, and they're still doing pretty good. But we'd like to do more. Mm-hmm. So we don't always give up, even though we've been through an area.
Do you know about what the total is? If you had to just
we're over 1,000 trees now.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's good for oxygen in this area.
Oh yeah, it is. There are some people. Besides the principal of Ray and Mike and Peter, there have been people that have been there every year for me, and Joe and Teresa Kelleher has always been there, and Bill and Bonnie Rayner have always helped me physically and mentally and whatever, and Hugh McCabe has always helped me, and the Boy Scouts have always helped, and so that's always good to know that you got a core. Now we are in the process of changing it, and the AIA is going to get involved in this, and so that we get the trees scattered through the town a little bit more into the residential areas.
So it'll be changed for next year?
Yeah.
2010 we're talking?
Yeah, we're talking about 2010. We hope the only project that we're thinking for sure of is the Elm Street and 110 project, mm-hmm. which will probably take 20 or 30 trees. The other areas that we're trying to do is go out in the community and plant trees just throughout the thing. And as I mentioned before, the funding, most of the funding comes from the AIA, which they get money from the town and they turn it over to me and I buy the trees, and then when I get all my bills I take it back and they
Could you use any more help or volunteers or anything
we can always use help, and right now we're, like I say, we're in the process of trying to get this thing to go on forever, because it needs to. And at one time, the AIA had a program where if you wanted to buy a tree and the AIA would plant it, you'd sign up in the fall, I think it was. I wasn't here at the time. You'd sign up and you could say you wanted a tree and where you wanted it. And these all have to be sort of street trees, so they're in the front yard, they're not in the backyard, that kind of stuff. And then you sign up, and then in the spring you get a tree. And so we're trying to bring that back. And Ann Ferguson and Ron Gagnon, who are the AIA people, we got a meeting come up in September, and we're going to try to figure this thing out. We've hired John Monroe to help us organize this, and Annie gave me this for my birthday present. She wants this tree planting to continue. So anyway, we're going to try to talk to the Scouts. Well, we know the Scouts, but the Rotary and the Lions Club and all those people, to get more people involved in. And we need more basic organization so we can continue this thing on. So that's where we are.
Do you have a number you want to give out now, or do you want to wait for a number? Or
number of
telephone numbers or anything that contact person, or
we'll
in the future you'll give that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I need to get with the AIA organization to let them know where we are and what we're trying to do, which they pretty much know, but we need to really get them on board so that we can make this thing have a basic way of going for the next forever, I hope. Anyway, at least that's
so it's safe to say you're pretty pleased with the project and the results so far.
We are. Once you see the trees, you know you're pleased. And I'm always just driving around town and seeing the trees.
Yeah.
That's my reward. That is my reward. I tell you, when you see the trees have been in 6 years, you understand why we do it. Yeah.
And that's what we're going to be doing next, so hold on and we'll hit the road, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Hit the road. Yeah. Hey Larry, this is a tree that we planted in 2009. We wanted you to see what the trees look like the first year we plant them. And this is a tulip tree and probably has a bigger leaf surface than normal for first year planted trees. You'll see the white sleeve on the bottom, and that keeps the string trimmers from scarring up the bark and killing the trees. So we do this on all the trees, and if you see these on trees around town, that's what they're there for. And this is a good example of a 2009 tree planting. Larry, these trees were planted in 2003. You just saw the tree that was planted in 2009, so you can see what 6 years can do on the planting, and this is wonderful. This is why we do this thing. So what you can expect in another 6 or 10 years, it's going to be glorious.
Well, that's it for today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to thank Richard Gale, and I want to thank all the people that volunteer that are involved in this wonderful project that he's doing for our town. Also, I'd like to run through the public library now has all 57 editions of Our Town, You can watch it in a computer. You can't take it out, but you have to make reservations first. So you can call the library at 1-978-388-8148, or if you want to go to the web, www.amesbylibrary.org. And also the Relay for Life is coming up again. That will be September 19th at Landry Stadium. It's the 7th annual one. Please contact Tom Hanshaw if you have any questions, or if you'd still like to get involved. There's still a little bit of time left, so please let's support that. In past years, it's been great. The town's really come to bat and done the right thing. So, work hard, stay healthy, and please take time to care for someone. From our town, bye-bye. We're out of here.